Greetings from Ireland. Today is June 25th, and we went on our first field trip as classes today, but I didn't do a video for Sunday when we went on that field trip, so I'm going to fill you in on that and then talk about class yesterday and then today's field trips as well. So I'm trying to keep track of each day and have it all organized out so I can remember it all and have it kind of notes of everything I took each day so that I know what we're seeing and um, yeah. But Sunday we went to Woodstock, Tintry Abbey, and Hook Lighthouse, and they were absolutely awesome. The Woodstock was actually an old estate, and we went up to Wexford, which is like 30, 45 minutes from Ireland. I keep saying that, from Waterford. And we stopped and picked up um, two of our contacts, Walter and Olivia. They're both professors here at WIT, and they're just precious. They're so cute and very sweet Irish people. And they've been actually touring with us and helping us out and explaining a lot. But the estate we went to was actually an old estate, and it was actually burnt down once Ireland kind of became its own country and was no longer under the English rule. And they did that because England still owned the property, but they didn't want them to come back, so they burnt the part of the estate so that they would have no reason to come back. Um, but the estate was actually the house was still there. I don't know if it was under kind of some kind of construction, so I don't know if they were rebuilding it or restoring it or what. But I mean, all the stuff here is made of stone and mortar and everything. I don't know really know how you would burn it. Maybe burn the inside, the wood floors and stuff. But the structure's still there. But the property of the state was absolutely amazing. There was gardens everywhere. Um, actually in front, well, it was actually the back of the house, but the whole back of the house, they had four, were probably the size of basketball field or basketball courts, in this huge field that were actually sunken down maybe 3 feet, and those used to be the terraces that were completely full of flowers and plants and everything. Now they're just it's just like a giant lawn or field, but it was huge. And then there's a path that cut through that and went up these little stairs. There were stairs everywhere, like stone stacked stairs and all kinds of stuff. And there's actually trees from all seven or the seven different continents on this estate, so that was pretty cool. They had some that looked like redwood trees. I'm not really sure if that's what they were, but they definitely look like it. Not as tall as the ones in California, but they definitely were something similar to that. They had all kinds of fruit trees. They had Road to Dendron. I don't know, something like that. It's like a purple flower that we got a really pretty picture by. And they had palm trees. They had bamboo, all kinds of stuff. We actually stumbled upon, as we're exploring this estate, we actually came upon this little cottage that was tucked away behind some greenery and brush that's grown up. And they actually said that this cottage, the purpose for them building it was because the women of the estate were bored and wanted to be able to pretend that they were poor and churn butter. So they made this cottage for them so that they could pretend they were poor. These rich ladies had nothing better to do than to do that. That was crazy to me. But they weren't allowed to leave the estate because they only could meet people that were suitable for them to marry. So I guess in order for them to not meet someone different, they were kept to themselves, so people could come visit them, but they couldn't leave their estate. And we actually saw this huge cast iron love seat, and it was like a bench, but they called it the love seat because back in the 1700s, people would come visit them, and they were under supervision at all times. These girls were, but the supervision would kind of supervisor would stay back a little bit, so the boys would stand on the back side of this cast iron bench, and the girls would be sitting on it, and they would pass notes through the cast iron, and so it's called the love seat. And then on the very edge of the property, they had this huge ditch, and they actually called it a ha-ha, which was really funny because Olivia, the little lady, was telling us about it, and she's probably in her 60s. She's so cute. She was in heels and this hot pink long raincoat, and we're all in tennis shoes and sweatshirts, and she's in little heels walking all around the estate. But she called it a ha-ha because the purpose of it was that even though the people that owned the land owned hundreds and hundreds of acres, the estate only was on a certain part. So to keep the wild animals away from the estate, they would build these huge ditches so the animals couldn't pass, so they couldn't get to the house, which I guess is kind of smart, but I kind of thought of it as, haha, you can't get over here, so that was kind of cool. And then we saw this huge white, almost like a greenhouse. It was like cast iron white structure with like glass panels, and that was actually called the Orange House, and that's where they made like the fruit and grew all the fruits and vegetables. And then what else do we find? Oh, another interesting part is that there was cast iron along the pathways, but the pathways were pretty wide for it to be like gardens and stuff. But the reason they were as wide as they were is because since it was the 17 and 1800s, all the ladies' dresses were really wide and really big, so they had the pathways wide enough so that two women could walk side by side, but their dresses wouldn't get in the grass. So that was kind of cool. And then from there, we went to Tennery Abbey, which is an old abbey, which is originally the monks were there, and then there was nuns there. And that was pretty cool. There wasn't, I mean, the whole stone structure was left, but there wasn't anything on the inside. I mean, it used to be like 3 or 4 levels, and there were still like the socket holes in the stone where like the wood connected across, and then the planks were laid across to make the floor, so there were still those holes, but all the wood was gone, so it was just like a really tall structure inside. It did have stairs in one part because they had rebuilt it, but they had this huge window that was actually like over 1,000 different glass pieces, little diamonds, to make up this huge window that came to like a point at the top, and it overlooked some really pretty property. But the local farmers, basically, if they left any land to the abbey, then they automatically got to be buried underneath the abbey, and if they got buried underneath the abbey, then that was like a straight shortcut path to heaven, like an entrance to heaven. So they will, a lot of the farmers locally would leave land to the abbey so that no matter what they did their whole lives, they would still get into heaven, or so the story goes. But when we first got there, we pulled up, and all 60 of us in our program plus the professors, we all kind of we had a sack lunches, so we all sat outside, and they had something called a mumming, which is actually, it was a handful of older Irish guys who were doing little Irish dance, and mumming is actually the act of war played out in dance. And so they had these long sticks, so we didn't know what they were doing. It took until after we left before Walter actually explained to us what they were doing, but somebody was playing the accordion, and then these Irish guys were dancing, and they had these sticks, and they kept clicking them together, which turned out to be like swords once we realized actually what they were doing after the fact. But that was kind of interesting. And the dance they actually were doing had Father Murphy in it, who was a priest. I don't really know much about him, but that's what they were singing about. And then from there we went to Hook Lighthouse, and on the way out to Hook Lighthouse, we actually passed Loch Loftus Hall, and that is the most haunted house in Ireland. So they do like ghost tours and stuff there, so a lot of people want to head back out that way at some point and see that. I'm not sure if I'm interested in it, but apparently the house is known for its beautiful, intricate staircase, like right when you walk in the front door. So I might go just to see that because I've heard it's worth seeing. And then we got up to Hook Lighthouse, and that was the first time we'd actually been to the coast since we got here. And it was absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to see the cliffs of Moher, because after seeing these cliffs and being as small as they were, I can't even imagine what the cliffs of Moher are going to be like. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But the waves were crashing, and we took a bunch of pictures, and they warned us not to get close and to be very careful and not be stupid, but the wind was insane, so we definitely kept our distance. But it was absolutely beautiful, and Hook Lighthouse is actually the oldest lighthouse in Europe, and it actually is still working. I didn't see the light on, it was moving at the top, but I didn't see a port near, so I'm not really sure what considered as it is still working, but that's what they said. And at the bottom of it, there was like a little cafe and had a gift shop, but we just walked around and explored for a long time. We got some really pretty pictures. The wind was insane, so our hair's all crazy. I'm learning that there really is not a good hair day while you're in Ireland. I did get a hair dryer yesterday though, so that was nice because the outlets are different. But that was a lot of fun. And then yesterday we had our first day of class, and it went really well. I'm taking a international politics class and international sales class, And the international politics class, I've actually wrote 3 papers before I came on the trip. So the 4th paper, I have that to do, and then I have to do a interview with the local, and then I have to do the final. But there's only 4 of us in that class, me being the 4th person, so that's 3 other people. And we're actually coming up with the questions and then giving her the questions that we submit, and then she's going to pick certain ones and make a final. So I don't feel like that'll be too difficult. And then I have an international sales class, which is actually going to, I think, be pretty good because she's also teaching Intro to Business, which I've already had twice. Actually, I took it at my first school, Georgia Gwinnett, and then when I transferred, that class transferred as business law, so then I had to retake the intro class. So I think I'll see a lot of the same material, so I don't think that's going to be too difficult. So I was worried about, being in my room studying the whole time and not actually making the most of the trip, but I think it's going to work out very nicely. And then today we got up and we went back through Wexford and went up a little bit, and we went to Enniscorthy, and from there we saw the Rebellion Museum, Vinegar Hill, and also Johnstown Castle. So the first thing was the Rebellion Museum, and that was all about the Irish Rebellion, and it was a pretty cool museum. A lot of it was just facts and people talking, but the setup of it was really cool. Each little room that we went into had a different theme, and it kind of represented what the lady was talking about. So some of the pieces were cool. There was one room that's kind of set up like a huge chess game, and there was tile floors, and there's these big chess pieces that represented the different generals and people of the revolt. And then it actually kind of got serious at one point, and there was like a screen that came on, and it was like the reenactment on Vinegar Hill, which was a brutal battle. And they actually, one of the British generals didn't get there in time, so he left. There was kind of like an escape little gap in the line, so a lot of people were able to escape. But they said that the Irish soldiers brought like the wives and children, so it was kind of a little disturbing to think that all the children and the wives had to see all that, especially the little kids. A lot of the soldiers were kids themselves, but I guess that was pretty interesting. And then from there we went to actual Vinegar Hill. So we parked at the bottom, and we all got to walk up, and that was absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait till we see like just green. We saw a lot of, we could see the city like down at the bottom of the hill, so that was really pretty. The steeples of these amazing churches and cathedrals just stand up higher than anything else, so that's really pretty to see. But I am eager to see like just the green rolling hills. But we did, everything's kind of green over here, whether they're city there or not, it's green. But we saw that, and they explained a little more, the tour guides did, about actual kind of what we went over in the museum, but went into it further on the hill. And then from there we went back to the bus and drove about 45 minutes. We all got to eat our lunch on that way, and then we went to Johnstown Castle. And we weren't able to go into the castle. That's actually like privately owned now. They actually do weddings there, which is kind of exciting for me, doing like event and wedding planning, because how cool would it be to get married at a castle? It was awesome. But the grounds of that were beautiful. We got to walk around, take a lot of pictures. There was a huge like lake in front of it, and just these old castle ruins and everything. It's crazy how like they're so beautiful to all of us, but even Walter said, you live in Ireland, you just kind of disregard it. It's just another castle. Like, they're everywhere. They really are. You'll just be driving around, and the whole city's been built around this huge stone structure. But what I find so pretty is that there's always moss, and there's always like wildflowers growing up the walls of these things, and there's vines growing up them, and I find it really beautiful. So that was today, and then we came back, and we had a little meeting about what we were going to do for this weekend. So me and my friend Lawson, Sarah, Natalie, and Kate all made plans. We're going to end our field trip Thursday in Dublin, so we're going to go out from Dublin and actually end up staying there for the weekend. So we made those plans. So I'll update later once probably next week, once I get back from the weekend trip. But hope everybody at home is doing well, and hope I didn't bore you too much with my 15-minute video. I just realized how long I talked to the camera, so I apologize. But hope y'all are all doing well, and love and miss y'all. Bye.